Hello, everyone.
Hello,
and
everyone.
Welcome. Say hi to everyone. And welcome to Fantasy Top 5. Your league leader in fantasy news and
that comes in fives. We have all kinds of stuff. It comes in fives.
That's true. I am one of the hosts here of Fantasy Top 5, and my name is
I'm
Eric.
the other one, and my name's Sean.
And the producer is over there. His name is Lane. He's a
douche.
What?
My camera's not available.
Oh, Lane's
He's a pretty
camera's
nice
not available.
guy. I like him. So we didn't start out with any props today. We were going to. The last
we
2
want to give
weeks-
you guys props, actually. Props for watching the show. Props.
Oh, yeah. We give you props. I told him to have that dog. There's a little stuffed dog over there. He said that wouldn't be cool.
I would get it, but then I would be off the screen.
I don't know why. I thought it was a pretty cool dog. And then we also thought about maybe our juices.
I have a remote.
Yes, sir. These are some pretty cool props.
I'm proud of them. I'm proud of our props.
We did really good the last 2 weeks. But, yeah, so I feel like we should probably talk about... Yeah, we decided we wanted to lose some weight last week, and we decided that we wanted to juice. And it has been brutal.
It's been great. I have energy like this.
My stomach is absolutely killing me. It's great. I love it. And afterwards, normally on Thursdays, afterwards we go to like an awesome sports bar and have some great, delicious food.
But we're gonna
awful food. It's awful food, but it's
yeah,
delicious.
it's terrible for you. It's just bad.
And
it clogs your arteries and your soul.
And today we decided that we can't do that because I
gotta
did
drink
a lot of
juice.
I did a lot of research. Could not find a juice sports bar anywhere that serves good, hearty juice and lets you watch the game.
Yeah, but on the plus side,
Doesn't happen.
Eric's wife is gonna make us some delicious, fresh, homemade juice. I tried to get her to throw a hamburger in the juicer, but she's like, I can't do it. And so I hate her now.
We may have to get one on the way home.
But with love.
Not really. We're actually doing really well. So, we are Fantasy Top 5. I'm trying to come up with a slogan here, and I don't know why, because it's not really working. We do a show on Justin TV an hour before the Monday and Thursday night game, and we also throw the podcast up in iTunes and a lot of other podcast apps. You can look for us, listen to us on your drive to work. That's when I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I listen
work.
to a lot at work when I'm just typing away and stuff.
On your way home from work, while you're sleeping, although you probably won't get a lot of the information. Although I've heard you can retain it. Maybe when you're making love, put us on. It's a good time to get some fantasy news. Why not?
Your wife is watching, by the way, so she's probably going to like that you're encouraging. The lovemaking is so exciting that you could just listen to fantasy news and do it.
Well, no, I'm saying we're going to make it better.
Oh.
We're going to make the lovemaking better. Like, you would have had you'd have a pretty good lovemaking session. Put us on, and it's going to be an incredible lovemaking session.
It'll be really weird when your wife's saying names like Ray Lewis and Amendola. It's like, who to pick up? Who should I pick up? All right, seriously, let's. This bit is done.
We have Twitter at Fantasy Top 5, and we have a Tumblr and a bunch of other stuff. Ask us questions. We answer them live on the air. We also will tweet back to you and all sorts of other things.
Yeah, and all that stuff that Eric just mentioned, you can find on our website, www.fantasytop5.com. All of our top 5 stuff is spelled out F-I-V-E. None of it is the number. So, yeah, you can find us just about anywhere.
That's true. All right, so we have 4 segments here. We'll go ahead and get started with our first one. It is Newses and Bruises. It is the top 5 news stories of the week and the top 5 injury reports, which are really good to know because you play fantasy football if you're listening to this, most likely. The number 1 news story is the
I've actually never played.
You haven't?
What is fantasy football?
It's this game. You play it on a computer. You pick up some football. You know what football is, right? NFL football.
Yeah, you like kick the ball.
Yeah. You do that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll let you go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, you should know about this guy because since you don't know anything, you probably know that he's the number 1 kicker in the whole entire league, Billy Cundiff.
Oh, he is good.
He is good. He was cut by the Redskins, and no longer plays for him.
Yeah. That's usually what cut means. Yeah, he is. He is an awful kicker, from what I've heard.
He's not very good.
With my eyes.
Yeah, they replaced him with someone. You don't need to worry about it. He's not very good. Just know if you have him, and it's a kicker position. That's
Get
one thing you'll
anyone.
find out. Yeah, kickers they're not all they're cracked up to be in fantasy. But if you have him, go ahead and drop him. Number 2 is a little bit more important. Brian Cushing has a torn ACL and is out for the whole season for the Texans.
Just sad because he is a damn good linebacker.
Yeah, he is. They are an incredibly good defense, and I would say that he's a good part of that. Although J.J. Watt
Is amazing. Like he literally like I know people are gonna be like the Jets look terrible, but the Texans didn't look that great in that game, and I think that Watt literally won the game for him. Every time they were down in the end zone, he made a play
he
happen.
was swatting balls.
Yeah, and like crazy.
I
Even
don't
on the
know
last
how.
play of the game, he's like, "I'm gonna get that down. Let's just end this right now."
Yeah, you don't throw a pass if he's around. He'll swat it.
Yeah, he will.
Get that out of here.
He's insane.
It's like watching basketball. He's blocking everyone's pass. What?
Yeah, it kind of is like that. You're kind of on the right path.
Yeah, he's blocking something. But yeah, so that's if you have the Houston's D, I think you're still fine to start him, but it's definitely a blow to the Texans as a team.
Yeah,
My number 3 is Rex Ryan. He says that Sanchez is still the starter this week, which everyone's making a big deal out of this week, mainly because, like we all knew, Tebow, it's his time's coming.
Yep, he is amazing out there. He's great.
I don't know why, but everyone knew it was going to happen. Everyone knew that Tebow was going to come in, and everyone would want him to play, and people would start cheering for him. And Sanchez he's not that elite quarterback, so I kind of saw it happening.
The Jets don't want him to be, I feel like, though. They do nothing to help him out. They won't even take out Sean Green and try another guy out, that they have other guys that could do good on the team. Like, it's like they don't want to win. They don't have hardly any receivers or even real receivers. Like, how many people do? No one owns anyone from the Jets if they're smart in the fantasy league, unless it's past 12 teams and you have to.
Yeah,
Like,
Santonio Holmes was ownable, but not playable.
yeah, it's just
Sean
ridiculous.
Green is not ownable. No one is.
And their defense now without Revis is not that great either. And speaking of their defense, one of their main receivers now is Cromartie, who is a cornerback. Like,
Although he did look pretty good, he
Yeah.
almost caught that pass.
yeah, and that is
Except
one
he wasn't
pass.
except he wasn't a wide receiver, so he didn't get both his feet in. Which
And that is one pass that Sanchez did throw a little bit off. But that's the thing, is Sanchez isn't doing bad. A lot of the interceptions out there are from other people hitting the ball or multiple people letting it hit their chest and bounce up in the air.
well, they really need a wide receiver. And the second part of my news story here is they're not interested in T.O. So I don't know who they're interested in, but it's not a wide receiver that's good. And I
Yeah.
just don't understand because there's these wide receivers out there like T.O. and Ocho that I don't know why they're not on a team. I mean, I understand.
They've had their issues, but if Moss
Yeah.
is on a team, I feel like they're like the triad. Like, that's what they are. They're all kind of the similar guys. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Ocho's quite had the numbers that the other two have had, but they're the same kind of guy. You get them on the team, they play well, but they cause issues at times. But I don't know. I don't know why they didn't bring back Plexico Burress. That's the
Yeah.
solution. You have him back. He catches passes in the red zone. You don't have to throw short. You can throw deep because he'll get up and get it, and he knows how to do everything. And there's like, you had a great year last year, but you're gone now. Like, I didn't get that at all. I didn't get that move by the Jets at all.
Well, they need someone. They really do, especially with Santonio Holmes out. None of their wide receivers are. I mean, it's possible that maybe one of them will step up, and Curley hasn't looked awful, but still, like you said, none of them are ownable in a fantasy league. So
Yeah, at least not now.
crazy. And then why they're still starting Sean Green is beyond me. Sit the guy already.
Yeah, it's
not
insane.
It's not like he's ever.
But I guess most people would ask why they're still starting Sanchez is beyond me too. So, and I don't
Especially
agree
when you
with
have Tebow
that.
behind him. I mean,
Yeah.
no.
That elite quarterback.
All right, my number 4. I thought this was kind of interesting. James Harrison apparently reported that he didn't sack Michael Vick last week because he was afraid of getting fined. And I don't know if that's just a play that's just Harrison trying to put a jab in because he's been fined so many times in the league.
He has been
that
fined
he's
a
just
lot.
trying to be like, well, I was going to do it, but... Or if he legitimately, honestly was really afraid that he was going to get fined. But either way, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for making the game safer, but I'm also all for playing the game like it's supposed to be played. And I feel like that's one of those things where he was like, with Vic, it's just you never know. You know, he's kind of one of those dodgy quarterbacks. You try to get him, maybe he ducks down, and then all of a sudden it's helmet to helmet. I don't know where to go for. Like, I don't know where I can hit anymore because players move.
Yeah.
If a player was standing there, it'd be really easy to hit him so I don't get fined. But since they're people and they have arms and legs and they move around.
Yeah, but that's the thing too is you gotta. I understand he gets fined more than anyone, but you gotta kind of step past that. If you're gonna keep playing, you're gonna get fined. You can't change your game 100%. Like a couple of them, like you do go for the kill shot. Maybe don't try to kill the guy. Maybe just try to sack him. Like, 'cause that's the thing is I didn't think that Colt McCoy one last year was as illegal of a hit as they made it seem like, but you could tell he was trying to just kill the guy.
And that's my biggest thing with it is I think, it's just, and you can tell when they're putting that extra step into it that is going to just lay the guy out. Or and you can tell when they get tackled kind of more soft. And I don't know what to tell. I mean, I think a lot of it is intimidation. They want to intimidate the guy. And that's the kind of stuff that I don't really agree with as much.
Yeah.
But I also think, you want to make a play. I mean, you don't want to not go at him full force because you're afraid that he might get the ball out. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. It's James Harrison.
It's hard to say. It's like his first game back in forever, and he does this. Like he's bitter and he's getting old. He knows his time's almost up in the league, and he keeps getting fined. Like I think it's just a bunch of things with him.
And then my last bit of news, which is completely fantasy related, is Ben Roethlisberger gets added fantasy football touchdown today. So you may want to go back if you have Ben Roethlisberger or you played him, because he actually has a touchdown pass that he didn't have before. It just barely came through, so I didn't get a lot of details on it. But it looks like they thought it was a backwards pass, and it ended up being a forwards pass.
So it's about.
But it's really crazy that it happened today.
It's about 4 point something.
Because the next week is starting in like a few hours, and
he's included in the next week that starts in a couple hours. So yeah, it is crazy, but yeah, it could change stuff. Like if you had a league that was close, you might want to go back and check.
yeah, because it could definitely affect things. I mean, it's a whole touchdown, so it's 6 points in a standard league. Rashard Mendenhall should get about the same. He got a little bit taken off because it was a run. Now it's a pass. But I think, everything should be about the same. But pretty crazy. So, all right, we'll go ahead and move on to our bruises. Number 1, we'll start with tonight's games. Jake Locker is out, so Hasselbeck will be the starter for tonight. And Kenny Britt practices fully and will most likely play. So if you have Britt, I do like the guy, and I do think he's a talent. He gets injured a lot. He has a couple off-the-field problems, but for the most part, I think Kenny Britt could be a really good player in this league.
He's exactly Randy Moss. Like if you look at him, like everything about him is like Randy Moss-esque. Like so, if he could stay healthy, he could be great. Like he proved that at the beginning of last year. He was just amazing, and he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if I would tell people to play him.
Not just yet, because you never know with the guy, and I think their offense has gotten used to going away from him, so they're like, well,
if you have to, I would do it. I mean, I wouldn't say he's.
The Steelers are without Polamalu and stuff, so maybe they can get him deep. Like, but it's pretty unsafe at this point. But you never know.
Yeah, and then if you have Locker, don't play him. Hasselbeck's not a horrible play. My number 2 is Donald Brown. Is out 2 to 3 weeks with the knee scope, which this has been a lot crazier than I thought it was going to be because of all the questions that we received today.
People are really high on Ballard. Like they're They're all over it. And that's the thing is I get that to an extent. Donald Brown hasn't been extraordinary for the Colts, but it's a 2 to 3 week injury. Like the thing that amazed me is very few people are talking about Green for Green Bay, and Benson he's going to be out the whole season probably. If he comes back, it'll be at the tail end, and I don't even know if they'll rush him back then. He hasn't been like awesome for him, and everyone is all over Ballard, which he hasn't looked bad. He had a pretty good preseason. He's only had like 2 yards, average 2 yards a carry or something like that so far this season when he has had his chances with the ball. But he is going to get extended work this week, and the Jets' defense, rushing defense, especially up the middle where I guess he runs the most, is awful because they have slow linebackers.
Well, they also didn't completely say that Ballard is going to completely have
the starting role.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of him and then the other guy, I don't know his name offhand, but is kind of right below him. So if for some reason Ballard comes in and doesn't start playing that well, there's nothing saying that which that's kind of the same thing with Green too in Green Bay. He has the role, but there's nothing saying Starks is not going to come in and play as well. It's kind of whoever has the hot hand. So with both of those injuries, I don't know. I don't really trust any of the guys as much as people.
If you're in a deep league, I get the excitement to an extent, but
yeah, if you're in a deep league, that makes a lot of sense.
But Donald Brown's going to be back, so it's hard to say.
I think a lot of people just need someone.
And running backs have been getting hurt.
I think there's been a lot of injuries, and I think a lot of people just need someone to play.
And some have been disappointments. Like, look at Steven Jackson hasn't been great.
There's a lot of that, too.
CJ2K has been awful. Like, there's been a lot of people picked up Andre Brown for these same reasons, and then he got his concussion, and now people are thinking that Wilson's back as the number 2 guy, and Brown's going to be phased out. So it's
I'm
hard to say.
I'm excited for Wilson.
Yeah, if he can control his fumbling, then I think he could be great. And a great guy to have with the Bradshaw.
I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting to see how all these running backs come out and do. And that's part of it, too, is when you all of a sudden have a brand new starter, it's exciting. You have a brand new guy starting, but my thing is pick him up, put him on your bench, and like you said with Donald Brown, 2-3 weeks. I don't think you're getting a whole lot out of him unless he really comes out and does really well.
Yeah, and I guess with Ballard over Green, like Ballard is has a favorable matchup, so if he does get a lot of work, he could get a decent amount of yards. And Green is going up against the Texans, so that is a lot tougher matchup.
Yeah,
but
I think
for the
matchup
long run,
is a lot
Green
of it
is the guy I
well.
would pick up if you're going to stash someone on your bench.
It'll be interesting to see. So we'll get through these really quick. Number 3 is Hakeem Nicks. Hinted he will play this week. It looks like he's going to keep an eye on it. There's nothing saying he absolutely will. But that's exciting for Hakeem Nicks owners because they have been really sad for a while.
Yeah, because you got to go early to get Nicks.
Yep. He's just been sitting there injured. So number 4, RG3, cleared to play. He practiced today and yesterday. He's playing against the Vikings, so it's a pretty good matchup. So, yeah, if you have RG3, play him. And number 5, there are 13 Patriots listed on the injury report this week, including pretty much everyone. Tom Brady, Welker.
That's their thing, though. They love to have people on the injury list.
I don't know why.
Brady, I think, has been on the injury list for the last 3 seasons, every game. This is what they do.
Yeah, I think you're fine. I wouldn't even worry about any of them. And Aaron Hernandez practiced yesterday and looks like he may play this week. So if you have him, I would kind of hold off on playing anyone else just to be... Well, if you have Heath Miller, I'm really high on him. But, so there we go.
All right, we're going to move over to the top 5 drop-offs and bounce-backs. And my number 1 drop-off this week is Ahmad Bradshaw against the great 49ers defense. Bradshaw has been great last week. He just looked crazy good. He got over 200 total yards and just looked awesome. But the 49ers defense, especially their run defense, doesn't give up a lot. And I think that if the Giants want to stay in the game, which I do think they will stay in the game, it's going to be passing. But I think going up against the 49ers, it kind of devalues all of the Giants, but especially Bradshaw. So, yeah, I wouldn't look for him to be over 100 yards this week because the 49ers have not given up 100-yard game to a running back yet. So I'd look for Bradshaw to be on his way down this week. All right, and then this is probably going to seem strange because my number 2 drop-off is the 49ers defense against the Giants offense. And I am down against the Giants.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Yeah, I am down against the Giants rushing offense. But I do still... The Giants will find ways to put up points against the 49ers defense. The 49ers defense, don't get me wrong, I still think this game is going to be insane. And it's going to be tight. And I think there's going to be a couple turnovers, but they're not going to be what they've been the last couple weeks. They're not going to get 20 plus points. I doubt they'll get 15 plus points. Like, they're going to be a lot lower. They're going to be like a normal defense this week. So I wouldn't plan on the 49ers just winning you the game against Eli and the boys, because
they'll have a good game, but not like an incredible.
Yeah, I think they'll have a good game, but not the games they've had. And that's the thing is the Giants have been doing it with whoever they have. Like, Nix has been out. Bradshaw got hurt. Like, and with all this stuff, and they also had Hickson hurt for a week. Like, whatever happens, they kind of just roll with the punches and they keep getting yards. And I think that's going to continue against the 49ers.
Well, they're not going to get blown out either. I mean, it's one of those games that, it's not like the 49ers going to blow out. It's not like their defense is so good that the Giants' offense is just shut down like a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So I see where you're coming from, because they're still going to have a game. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout by any means. And when it's not a blowout, the 49ers defense can't really get incredible mad points. So.
Yeah. All right, and then my third drop-off of the week is Alfred Morris against the Vikings defense. The Vikings have a very good run defense, and Alfred Morris has worked his way into the top 5 running backs in the league yards-wise. Like, he has almost 500 yards, and he's really been helping out RG3 and the Redskins offense. And I think he's a great back to have on your team going forward, but I think this particular week he's not going to have a great matchup. And maybe that's just me, like, falling for the Vikings defense, but I've been impressed with everything I've seen so far from them. You are in love
with that defense.
Yeah, I really am. It's passionate, the love affair that we have together. But I think they're going to keep it up this week, and I think they're going to stop Alfred Morris from getting 100 yards. Like, I think he's going to not be in the top 10 in running backs this week. And then my fourth drop-off of the week is which is kind of running back happy, which I feel a little weird about, but it's Stephen Ridley against the Seahawks defense. The Seahawks defense.
So impressing, because I really do like Stephen Ridley a lot. He is.
Yeah, and Ridley
been really good.
Ridley has been amazing out there, but they haven't played the Seahawks, and the Seahawks defense is one of those defenses. It's like the 49ers defense. Like, that whole NFC West division is full of defenses that can just do crazy things. Like, I think they're going to have a hard time running and passing, but the Patriots have so many options at receiver and tight end that I think they'll still get the passing yards, but I think they're not going to let
running back position will hurt.
Yeah, and I think Stephen Ridley's not going to get 100 yards in this game, but he's another one of those guys like Alfred Morris that I do think he's a surprise this year. Not a lot of people saw this coming. And he's going to be great going forward. Just against the Seahawks, I just can't see him doing like he did last week or a couple weeks that he's done this season. So I look for him to drop off.
Nice.
And then my fifth drop off of the week is A.J. Green against the Browns, who now have Joe Hayden back. Hayden is officially back from his suspension, and he just is. They're immediately working him back into the starting lineup there. And Joe Hayden is one of the last true shutdown cornerbacks in the league, and I think he's gonna shut. I don't know if he's gonna shut down AJ Green, but AJ Green. If you watch AJ Green's touchdowns, a lot of times he's just all of a sudden you see AJ Green pop out of nowhere and just catch a touchdown because he can burn cornerbacks like crazy, and I don't think he's gonna do that against Hayden. And Hayden's gonna be excited about coming back off his 4-game suspension, and I also think. If Hayden's obviously been watching the Browns play since he's been suspended, and he saw all the potential that's randomly forming there with Whedon playing better than people thought, and then Trent Richardson just looking amazing out there, and he sees what a help he is to his defense. So with him being back, I think it helps the whole defense, and I think it's going to hurt A.J. Green. All right, but now we're going to move over to my bounce backs of the week. A few people or teams or whatever that I think are going to bounce back. And my number one is maybe going to be a surprise to some, but it's the Green Bay Packers against the Texans.
I'm surprised.
Are you?
I am.
All right. Well,
The Texans are a good defense.
the Texans are a great defense. They're without Cushing now, but I think Green Bay knows where they're at. They know what they need to do to make it to the playoffs, and I think they're a lot better team than they've played like. And I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to surprise the Texans, and the Texans will get their first loss of the season in this game. I just think, it's the Packers. They're not as bad. This is the first time in a while that they've been below 500. They're third in their division. I just think that they're with their backs against the wall. I think they're one of those teams that will come out and go at you. They're not one of the teams that'll be like, well, our backs are against the wall. We're going to kind of just give up now. So I look for that. I look for them to come out and surprise the Texans.
This will be a really good game.
Yeah, this will be a shootout game. It'll be crazy good, I think. And then I think the Texans will have to put up points in this game. So maybe your boy Johnson will bounce back this week.
I hope so. And that's the thing is you initially were really down on him, and I thought you were absolutely crazy. And so far you've been more right than wrong.
Yeah, but at this point it's been sad because I thought he had injury problems. He's not just not getting the ball, but he's been fine, and he just isn't getting balls thrown to him. I think
in this game, I think you are definitely right because they'll need to really. I mean, so far, they've been just winning without him. So I think in this game, hopefully they will actually need him to win and actually end up using him. But the great thing about that is I'm playing against him this week as well. So,
well, yeah,
it's always how it works out.
Always a pleasure. But all right, and number 2 on my bounce backs is Willis McGahee, who he hasn't had a particularly hard, he hasn't had a particularly awful week, really. He didn't have an awful week last week, but he did lose that fumble, and I think he's going to be looking to come out and just destroy someone. And they're going up against the Chargers. The Chargers don't have a particularly great defense. And also, it's a in-division rival, and that's always something that gets people pumped up. So I think he's going to be ready to go. And Willis McGahee he's the reason that, not the reason, but he's one of the main reasons that offense is doing what they're doing. You can't cover two. You can't, do a super zone or, back up on defense because they'll just run it on you. And Peyton Manning's smart enough that he'll check down, even at later in the games when they're down a little bit. He's not afraid to run it. So Willis McGahee is the driving force, in my opinion, to that offense. And
even with the awful end to the game that they had. Okay. Yeah, it was an awful end, but I think he will bounce back as well. Yeah,
he's McGahee. I don't want to like him because I don't like the Broncos necessarily, but you have to respect the dude. He doesn't stop ever. He's insane. All right, and then my third bounce back of the week is Doug Martin against a very bad Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs have gotten better in recent weeks, but I think it's mainly been their passing defense that has gotten better. So I think I think the Buccaneers are going to be looking to run in this game, and I think Doug Martin's going to have a very solid game against the Chiefs. Because I think most people have had a pretty solid game against the Chiefs, unless it's a Ravens team that just looks amazing that comes out and plays them, and then they look awful.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I like Doug Martin a lot. I think he has the real potential to be one of those breakout stars like Ridley and Morris, and hopefully this week he proves it.
Yeah, and then my fourth bounce back of the week is DeMarco Murray, who has been doing a lot worse than expected this season. But the Cowboys are playing the Ravens defense this week, so a lot of people are probably like, the hell is he talking about? But the Ravens defense has actually not looked great against running backs this season without Suggs. And everyone saw what Jamal Charles did to him last week. And DeMarco Murray isn't Jamal Charles, but he is a very good running back, and I think he's going to bounce back this week. And hopefully he helps the Cowboys get on track a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely need him.
Yeah,
really bad.
Yeah, because they're forcing the pass right now, and it's not helping Romo. And I don't know. But I think DeMarco Murray is going to have a really solid game this week.
Yeah, so I'd like to see him come back and actually, because he has not been anywhere this year at all. He's just been off the radar.
Yeah, he had one good game because I have him on my team, but yeah, that's 1 out of 5. Well, out of 4, I guess. They had their bye week last week, and that's not great. He's Darren McFadden part 2. Like they're the exact same, and I have both of them, so that's great. But my 5th bounce back of the week is Michael Vick, who he hasn't really had an awful game because he doesn't have an awful game usually because with the running and all that, he ends up getting points somewhere.
Except for that 1 week.
Did he have 1 week that was really bad?
Yes. That was the week that I talked about him nonstop, about how he always has really good games.
Oh, well, maybe I'm cursing him right now then because I'm doing the same thing.
It's brutal.
But he is going up against the Lions this week, and the Lions' defensive backfield is terrible. And I think that this is going to help the whole Eagles team. But the main thing I'm hoping is that I think Vic will have a good game this week, and I think a lot of that is I think if they use their heads at all, they're going to start going to McCoy some more. They're going to run it more. They're going to open up the passes because right now they've been passing it so much, and McCoy's not getting the amount of work that he should be getting because he could easily be the best back in the league if he had the opportunity. Like he's quick, he's fast. Those are kind of the same. He just cuts around defenses, and he's a great talent. And I think they need to use him more and get some of the pressure off Vic so Vic can have solid games. But I do think Vic will have a really good game this week. All right, and that's my bounce backs and drop offs.
All right. What do we got next? Our put-ins and takeouts, which is our version of starter sit. So if you have any of these players, go ahead and start the ones that I tell you to put in and sit the ones that I tell you to take out. My number 1 is let me start out by saying I went kind of bold with a lot of these. I hope that pays off. It's either going to pay off or it's going to not pay off. So go ahead and go there. My number 1 is Kevin Cobb.
All right.
Yeah.
Bold. Sorry, I didn't realize you were. I should have known to go bold.
Yeah, after
All
every
right.
one. If it's a bold, if it's not, then don't go ahead and do it. But they are averaging. He is averaging almost 18 points a game for the last 4 weeks, which is really good. 18 points. That's not bad.
Not bad.
And Buffalo is giving up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. So if you need him, I'm not saying start him over people you should start, but go ahead and play him if you need to, because a lot of people need someone right now. Drew Brees, he ain't here. He's
on a bye.
Or he was sending us a question earlier.
Oh yeah.
You did have Brees 34-56, which could have definitely been him.
It sounded like Breeze setting an audible, so I believe it was him.
And he can play fantasy a lot better on his bye week. So, so go ahead. My number 2, this one's not as bold. Trent Richardson.
But he's looked
bold.
sharp this year. Like he's looked good.
But he's not your average starting running back. He's already played the Bengals once this year, just a few weeks ago, and scored almost 30 points. Not only that, but like we talked about on Monday, they're planning on increasing his role, which is crazy because he already is doing really well. So if you have Trent Richardson, he's going to have an extremely big game. My number 3, this one's kind of bold. Percy Harvin had a really good game.
Yeah, Harvin he's looked great this whole season, and he is. That's the thing is he has the potential to be a number 1 receiver, like a top 5 receiver in the league. Like he is all over the place. They get him the ball like crazy.
I like him,
and he's
lot.
putting himself out there this year, which I guess could ultimately result in something bad if he gets hurt or something. But he is
by running back. Yeah, he runs back the kicks and everything. That was.
But then when he took the ball in the backfield and did the running play that he got for a touchdown, he got hit like twice and powered through it. Like you wouldn't see that from Percy Harvin last year.
The other crazy thing too is he is half running back sometimes.
He's so damn elusive is why. Like he is able to get through and that's the thing is Gerhardt is not Gerhardt's a good backup to Adrian Peterson, but if they don't want to use Adrian Peterson, he's not like it's a specific thing that Gerhardt does. So I get why they use him, and they just want to get him the ball.
It makes more sense. It's kind of like the Sproles type guy, quick, fast, kind of bounces around.
Yeah, but he is so good at.
Where Gerhardt's kind of this power through back that.
Yeah, and then the ability to run kicks. If you got Percy Harvin, that just is awesome too, because then every once in a while, a couple times a year, you'll get an extra 6 points that you don't expect.
Especially right off the bat. As soon as the game starts, it's like, sweet.
Yeah, and
I don't know why you'd say sweet like that, but
I think most people would. That's the general way that people say sweet.
it was a pretty ridiculous
Like
sweet.
in a really bad 70s movie. Like, oh, sweet, man.
Sweet. That's for the people that had him that were extremely high at the time. Yeah. They were really high, and they had Percy Harvin. Yeah. But yeah, Washington Redskins, they're giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers. That along with the fact that I really like him. My number 4 is Heath Miller tonight. Put him in. Play him.
Tennessee's defense is the worst defense.
No, I have a crazy stat for you here, Sean. I have a crazy stat for you and all the listeners. No team has allowed more fantasy points, receptions, yards, or touchdowns to tight ends. And it's not even close. It's not like it's like Tennessee had like 5 touchdowns and everyone else had 4. They've given up 8 touchdowns and everyone else has given up 4.
Wow.
And yards are nowhere close either. It's like over 400 yards and no one is even at 400 yet. Like it's like 450 and everyone's still in like the 3 and 200s, and there's a few that are in the 100s. But it's just like absolutely crazy. So if you have any tight end going against Tennessee, I don't know their schedule coming up, but play Heath Miller. I plan on him winning my league for me. Just alone. I'm hoping after the game tonight I can just sit back and be like, that was pretty nice. I got this one in the bag. Maybe. And my number 5, which isn't as bold either, but it's the Ravens D. I think I'm really down on Romo. I had him last year, didn't love it. People have him this year. I don't think they love it. And he's just, people aren't loving it. People are not loving it.
It's so hard with Romo because if you watch him out there, he has every single ability that every good quarterback has. Some of the things I've watched him do, like when a guy is running at him and he just spins off all crazy and stuff like that and then makes a huge play, it's amazing to see how good of a talent he is and then to watch some of the shit he pulls out later, like where he just blows it, throws an interception, does this, fumbles the ball, manages to not have any of his receivers on the same page as him.
Yeah,
it's bad. Like it's hard to watch him sometimes.
I don't know why. And then not only that, but also defenses that play the Cowboys. I pulled out a lot of crazy stats. I went all crazy stat on this week. Defenses that play the Cowboys are averaging 14 points.
Whoa, that's a crazy stat.
That's a crazy, isn't it? That's what I thought. So not only that, but I think the Ravens D already had the potential to put up a lot of points, and then the Cowboys offense has looked awful and are giving opposing defenses a lot of points. So there's my put-ins, my takeouts. My number 1, Tony Romo. I went really bold with that one. I don't know where I pulled him out of. And I just don't trust him. I know he had a bye week. But after that performance with the Bears, I don't think anyone should play him ever again. I think after that, I think he should not be allowed to be picked up in fantasy football. That'd be pretty bold. There's no reason to do that. I think Ed Reed, will have an interception or 2. And I think, I don't know, hopefully he bounces back and looks better, but I don't think he will. My number 2 is Steven Jackson. Hasn't looked that great. It is going up against Miami, which is the number 1 ranked run defense. So I wouldn't do that. My number 3 is Jordy Nielsen.
Just so hard because he was so good last year.
Yeah, it's just getting to the point where I like to go bold with these. I like to put in, because I put some obvious people in my starts, and I'm like, don't do that. It's too obvious. Take them out. Put someone. And then with my takeouts, I wanted to go a little bit more bold and put people in here that are actually like
people that people are starting every
But then
week.
I feel like now I'm all nervous because one of these guys is going to have a good game.
It's not Steven Jackson.
It's not Steven Jackson. That's a good point.
I feel bad, but Miami's defense is just not letting people run on them.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then and Jordy Nielsen, same thing. A little bold, but Houston's not very good. My number 4 is Jermichael Finley. We'll keep going with the Green Bay. I would not play him either. And my number 5 is Matt Stafford, which this is probably the boldest out of all of them. Maybe I should take it out.
Because it's the boldest.
Yeah.
These are my bold picks. I want to take the boldest one out. I like
well,
that.
Well, now I'm all nervous and scared. He's coming back from a bye, which is always a good thing. But Philadelphia is actually the fourth best defense against quarterbacks. So they're only offering about 11 points to quarterbacks. So Matt Stafford hasn't looked that good anyway. So it's not like he's played so well that I feel confident playing him. So if you need him, play him. If you don't need him, don't.
Well
there
done.
it is.
Solid points there. All right, so now we're going to move over to our top 5 games of the week.
Oh, I love this part.
And
This is my favorite.
The first game of the week is the game that is going to be played tonight against the Steelers against the Titans in Tennessee. I don't know. I think this one's one of those games that I don't know. I thought the Monday game was just going to be a blowout, but these night games keep finding a way to be exciting. But I think if it's close, it's 45-40 or something like that. Like if you have every single person on the Steelers offense, including backup people, I would almost say play them. Like everyone has a shot of scoring a lot of points in this game.
Yeah, and I actually got a question we may talk about later. The guy's like, I'm playing Mendenhall, and I'm playing Heath Miller, and I'm playing Antonio Brown. I feel like I need to take one of those out because I feel like you should never play 3 of the same people because they steal points from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's not a game where you get 100 points and it just is divvied up between the players. There's infinity amount of points to. Well, I guess there's not. That would be a lot of points. But there's a very
there's lots
large
of
amount of
times.
points to get.
Yeah.
And so, and the funny thing is, I'm actually doing the exact same thing. I have all 3 of those people, and I'm playing all 3 of them, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. So, yeah, like you said, if you have any of them, play Ben.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and I actually told someone earlier to play Big Ben over Tom Brady this week. Like I do think the Patriots are gonna win that game against the Seahawks, but I don't think he's gonna get away without getting knocked on his ass a lot. But
he doesn't like that.
Yeah, he doesn't. He plays worse when that happens. But anyways, back to this game. I'm going to take the Steelers. Who are you going to take, Eric?
I'm going to go Steelers as well. I'm hoping they just have a huge, huge game. I need a lot of points from those 3 players.
Alrighty. And Lane, who are you taking?
Sorry, I just realized I had 3 people on bye and had to set my team before the game starts today. Who's playing tonight? Steelers and who?
Steelers and Titans.
I actually saw that earlier today, and I should have been a good friend and mentioned it, but I forgot.
The
not
whole,
that I did
the
it
whole
on
reason I
purpose.
produced this entire show is so that I have a stacked team, and I'm 2-3 now, and it's all your guys' fault.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it is.
It is my
We'll see if I can bounce back. I don't know. Why are you guys going Steelers? I thought they weren't looking good this year.
Yeah, the Titans are all looking awful.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a single Titans game.
Oh yeah, they're
So
awful.
we're just voting who's
That guy on your
We're picking
team-
the lesser of 2 evils, huh?
Yeah, that guy on your team who you dropped last week, Chris
Oh.
Johnson. Yeah, he's from the Titans.
I just get whoever. I don't know where to vote, so I guess I gotta cast with a popular vote and go Steelers.
Yeah, go Steelers.
All right, and then the second game of the week is a game we've talked about a decent amount. It's the Cowboys and the Ravens. I think we already know who you're going to go with, but who do you think, Eric?
Yeah, and that's the thing is the Ravens do end up pulling out those games every year. They pull out a good 3 or 4 games. That's just like, what is this team? But then the nice thing is all the other games are really good.
Yeah.
But they did that last week, and every time they do it, I start to get really down on them. But I'm not this week. I think I'm going to go Ravens.
All right. I think I'm also going to go Ravens. Who do you think, Lane?
I don't like the Cowboys. I'm Ravens. And I like the Ravens. I don't like the Cowboys. How can I go any other way, knowing the Ravens are going to win?
Oh, true that. All right, and then the third game of the week is the Giants at the 49ers. And I think this is going to be a big game, and it's going to be an exciting game, and it's going to be one of those games that's crazy because the 49ers feel like they got robbed last year in the NFC Championship game. and I think they're going to be looking to get revenge, and I think it's going to be a super close game. What do you think, Eric?
I also think it will be a close game. I'm kind of thinking it'll be one of those where the 49ers are ahead most of the time. And so anybody you played from the Giants is just going to be depressing to you the whole game. And then I think Eli will kind of pull it back, but I still think the 49ers win it.
All right. And
I like making those kind of predictions, like full game predictions.
Oh, where you just talk about what you think they're going to do the whole game.
Like the whole game, like where I start getting down to, I think Eli Manning's going to throw like a 3-yard pass at about 3 minutes into the third quarter.
And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful pass.
It's only going to be 3 yards, but everyone is going to say how it's the most. Okay, I'm done. Let's move on.
All right, Lane, who do you think? Giants or 49ers?
Sorry, it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. That's a guess. We just lost our stream, so.
Oh, I saw that something happened.
All right, and I am gonna go.
They don't get to look at our beautiful faces anymore.
Nope. Yeah, just keep going. I think Justin TV just completely crashed. I got kicked out of the chat on IRC too.
Oh, all right, and I'm gonna go with the 49ers as well, because the 49ers have just looked too good this year. Like it's a little bit ridiculous how good they've looked. They had the one bad game against the Vikings, but the 49ers, I think, got this. All right, and then game 4 is the Packers at the Texans. And I already said I was taking the Packers when I said my bounce backs of the week. The Packers was one of them. What do you think, Eric?
These games are so hard. I don't know. For some reason, anytime it's a Packers game, I cannot make a decision, and I don't know why. I'm going to go with the Texans, though.
You go with the Texans, all right.
I think the running game is going to hurt a little bit. I think they will go back to passing like crazy, which might be good for them.
I think either way it's going to be a super exciting game. What do you think, Lane?
The Texans just look too good. I can't vote against them.
All right, so you two are both for the Texans. And then
sorry, who were they playing this week?
The Packers.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm Texans.
All right, and then the 5th game of the week is the Monday night game, the Broncos at Chargers. And I think this game could be really, really, really good or so bad, so very, very bad. Because I think
I agree.
Both teams have looked really good at times and really bad at times. And so if we get both the good teams, I think it'll be a really great game. And I think the Chargers were kind of exposed last week that they're not the greatest, the team that everyone thinks they are. And I think right now, even though I was really high on the Raiders and I was at the beginning of the season, I think these two are kind of not just record-wise battling for number 1, but they also, I think these are the two best teams in the division as of right now. They seem like they're the two that have got it going the most. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chargers, and I'm going to go with the Broncos in this game because I just think the Chargers have started their decline that they start every year. So maybe they'll bounce back, but I think the Broncos have got this one. What do you think?
That's what I think. I think the Broncos will look like a legitimate playoff team, and the Chargers will look like a joke.
All right, what are you thinking, Eric? Lane, sorry.
That's how I feel, but for some reason I just get the feeling the Chargers are going to kick it up this week. I don't know why I feel like that.
Kind of weird to get that feeling as well.
I think just for fun, I'll vote for Chargers.
All right, cool. And that's our games of the week. Now I think we're just going to move over to...
Got 10 minutes to answer some questions.
We're back up on Justin TV too, just so you know.
Nice. Let's go with our Twitter questions that we got earlier.
All right.
Today, right?
All right, we'll go with our first one. This is a guy who's asked us a few questions, and it is at ChurchboyWSU, and he asked, "Do I trade Bo and Ben Jarvis Green Ellis for McCoy and Pierre Garçon?" And I said do it. McCoy is way better than Green Ellis. Green Ellis hasn't been awful, but he hasn't been anything special. And I know a lot of people are down on McCoy because even though he's having solid games, he's not having these crazy games that people expected after last year. But I still think he's 100 times better talent than anyone else mentioned in this. So I think you got to pick him up. And that's the other thing is you might luck out, and Garcon might pick it back up at the end of the season. And
think he
Bo
will.
is Bo. Eric, you've had Bo on your team. Explain how having Bo on your team goes.
I think a lot of people have had Bo on their team because then they drop him. I still remember 2 years ago when Lane had Bo, dropped him, and then someone else picked him up, and he started doing incredible. And that's what Bo does. You pick him up, and he does awful, and you drop him, and then he does really good. And so he should feel confident that he's trading him right now because that means he'll probably start being bad. Once you trade Bo, he immediately switches and start doing something else.
Yeah, that's
Once
kind
you
of...
drop him or trade him, he decides, oh, I better switch my game up. But, yeah, he's just a fluky wide receiver. He's not... I just do not trust him at all. And Garcon, he looks so good. And RG3, I don't think when he comes back, I think RG3 was still going to look for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he has been back a little bit, and he did get those points 2 games ago when the fumble in the end zone happened, and he picked that up. But other than that, he hasn't really been back to like what he was in that first week.
Yeah.
And that's too bad. But Garcon's one of those guys you can't. I don't know. This is what he does. So it's awesome if you can kind of keep him and you can guess which games. But maybe he'll get consistent. But he just, like last year, he had a couple solid games, but he had like 14 bad games. But he was also playing with terrible quarterbacks. I think as soon as he's back at 100%, RG3 is going to try to work him back in the system, and I think he'll do all right.
And I love McCoy. All right, so we'll go with our Tumblr question here, which I actually really, really, really like. It's actually one of my favorite questions
Of all time.
of all time.
All right.
Not really of all time. I just like the guy because he's a Rams guy. Is actually more what it is than anything else.
Oh, and this guy's asked a couple good questions. Though.
Yeah, Jur Envious.
And I actually kind of like his name. Envious.
I like it as well. So his question is, with Amendola out and Jackson finally over his groin injury, will we finally see him in the end zone? And second question, will RG3 play? Because I have him and Breeze, which is on bye. So I'm screwed if he doesn't and need to pick someone up. The first question, no. Not this week. I love the Rams. And with Amendola out, I think another wide receiver is going to step in. And also, this week against Miami, who has, earlier, like I said, the best ranked run defense, I just don't think you can play him. But don't drop him yet. I still have these awful hopes. I don't know why, but I still have these hopes that Steven Jackson's going to come back.
Steven Jackson,
Maybe it's just me, though.
he's not as bad as he's played so far. He's been playing through injury and still getting a decent amount of yards. I kind of wish they would almost pull him out of this game against the Dolphins because he's just going to get beat up the whole game. Like, you don't run on the Dolphins. They've made everyone who's ran against them so far this year look awful.
Yeah, Ben Jarvis-Granellis looked awful last week.
Yeah, and McFadden looked awful. Like, everyone who's played against him has looked awful. And I think if they can get him fully healthy, I think the second half of the season he's going to have some good games.
Yeah, they have a lot nicer. It's the same thing as last year. They had an awful schedule in the beginning of the year, and then it eases up towards the end. And so,
the hard
besides
thing,
the two 49ers games, the end
the
of the
hard
season
thing is that
pretty
is they
nice.
have some in division teams that are hard to run against. Like they play the Seahawks, they play the 49ers, they play the Cardinals one more time, but he's going to have his good games. And then even against the Cardinals, he didn't look bad for having a groin injury. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Steven Jackson's too hard of a worker to just get rid of. He's a good talent as well.
Yep. And then for the second part, which we talked about in the bruises, RG3 practiced again today, so he should be good. So play him.
All right, awesome. And then we got another question from another guy who's asked a few questions on Twitter. It's at Kenny Payson. Is that how you would say it?
Probably.
Paison. I don't know. But he said, should I go with Victor Cruz or Willis McGahee at flex, standard scoring? And I said that you go with McGahee. The Chargers D hasn't been great against the run, and the 49ers D is, and the possibility of Knicks coming back really hurts Cruz this week. So I think you got to go with McGahee. You agree with that, Eric?
I do. You're really high on McGahee. I am really high on McGahee. And I think everyone should just play McGahee. Just do it.
Yeah, if you got
Why
McGahee,
not?
you got to play him. He's a top 15 back for sure. If not top 10, like because he even when he gets hurt, he comes back. We've all seen that in the past. So yeah, he's been solid.
Yeah, I really like him. I've had a lot of people that are kind of questioning him, and I don't know if it's because of the game that he had because last where he dropped, like we talked about, the 1 yard pass, 4th and 1, and then that fumble. But he's still,
And that's not typical of McGahee, but everyone has a bad game every once in a while, and his just happened to be at really huge moments. And I don't think the Denver was ever as ended as people are talking about. But if you talk to a Denver fan, there's no way you can tell them that. So, yeah, what he did last week really hurt his value. But I think he's going to, like I said, he was in my bounce backs. I think he's going to do great this week.
Yeah, this one, we got another one right here that's flex spot McGahee, Hartline, Alex Green, or Vic Ballard. And I feel like, I don't know, for me, I looked at it and immediately didn't even second guess it was McGahee, but Hartline's looks pretty good. Alex Green is going to get the start. Vic Ballard, like we talked about, everyone is high on, but I still think you just go with McGahee.
Yeah, you got to play McGahee.
You got to go with him.
Like, and that's the thing is if Ballard does great or Green does great, come Twitter us and be like, you guys are dumb. Like, that's fine, but you have to go with someone you know something about. We know something about McGahee. You can't just assume Alex Green is going to come off against a great defense and do amazing. And you also can't assume that Ballard's even going to get all of the reps. Like, you never know. He's coming out and he comes out and he fumbles like Wilson did when he was getting a ton of play at the beginning of that first Giants game. Yeah, so really that at that point when you have a guy like McGahee and then a guy like Hartline who's like, what is he, like 7th or 8th in scoring in fantasy?
He was 5th, but then just, last
he didn't
week,
have a great week last week, but he's been doing well. So I feel like it just comes down between those two guys. And I think St. Louis's defense has looked great this whole season. So you have to go with McGahee. Like, I feel like it's a no-brainer, truthfully.
Yeah, like I said with the other guys, Alex Green, Vic Ballard, if you have them, great. Sit them. Put them on your bench. If they have a good week, don't feel bad. Don't think, oh, man, I had all those points. No, you didn't. It's a lot better than starting him and getting 2 points, in my opinion. And that's always a good thing. If they have a great game, then great. You have a guy sitting on your bench that you can play. So.
All right, but we have time for maybe one more question, and I just want to put this out there because this kind of is on the other side. I don't think everyone who does something with Ballard is dumb. I got a question that said, am I crazy for starting Vic Ballard over Bradshaw? I've been reading some mixed opinions, and I personally said it's a bold move, but it's not crazy. Ballard is going to up against an awful run defense, and he is going to get the work. And Bradshaw's going against amazingly good defense, like we've talked about in the 49ers. And so I think it's not automatic. If you want to go automatic, Bradshaw will probably for sure get work, and
it's a safer play.
Ballard could maybe not get even 5 carries, but it's something you could take a chance on because we do know for sure that Donald Brown is not playing in the game.
And that Ballard is the starter.
So yeah, if you got Ballard, do whatever. I hope you got some information that helps you with him. Other than that, I think we're done. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
Enjoy Thursday night football. It looks like it should be a blowout, but hopefully it turns into a great game like Monday's night's game was. And remember, you can find all of our stuff, www.fantasytop5spelledout.com, and Twitter us at FantasyTop5. I'm Sean.
I'm Eric.
Peace.
Out.